Welcome students. In today's class we will discuss about the adaptation in animals. So in the previous chapter you have already seen that what are the factors that affect the climate of a place. Like we have already discussed about the distance of the earth from the equator, we have discussed about height above the sea level and distance from the sea and mountains. So now we will discuss about the adaptations, that is how the animals adjust themselves with their surroundings. So, animals can change their structures and also their behavior to survive in a particular habitat. Okay? Because climate differs from place to place, so animals have to change themselves, have to adapt, have to adjust. They have to get special characteristics that will enable them to live in a particular climate. So these special characteristics are called what? Adaptations. Animals will develop certain characteristic features to adjust themselves with their surrounding. These characteristic features are called what? Adaptations. So it can be changes in the structure or the changes in the behavior of an organism, so that these changes will allow the animal to survive in a particular habitat. What is the habitat? The living place of an organism is called the habitat. Right? So now we will discuss about the hot and dry climates or the deserts. So when we talk about the hot and dry climates, that means their water is very less, and the main thing that animal has to do is to adapt themselves to conserve the water. So where from these animals will get the water? From the plants. There are thick succulent plants, juicy plants like the cactus, from which the animals will get their water. And some animals who feed on other animals will get the water requirement, will fulfill their water requirement actually by the body fluids of other animals. Understood? So once again I will tell. See, the animals will meet their water requirements from the plants, because plants stores water. They are succulent, that means fleshy and juicy, like the cactus. Okay, so animals will get the water from this type of plants by eating them, and those animals that feed on other animals will get the water from the fluids of the animals. This way they meet the water requirement. So now we will talk about the camels, the sheep of the desert. So all of you know about camels, I think. Camels are called what? The sheep of the desert. And they are the animals that live in the desert. They are having different characteristic features that let them live in the desert. So we will see the characteristic features here. They have long eyelashes. If you can see a camel properly, then you will see there are long eyelashes. Hair in the ears are also long. Hair in the nose are also long. Why these long hairs? To keep the sand outside when the wind blows. Whenever there is wind blowing in the desert, it will carry a lot of sand along with it. So this long hairs in the eyelashes, ear and nose will keep the sand out. It will not let the sand inside the eyes or ears or nose. Okay, so it prevents the sand to enter into the body through the eyes, ear and nose. Camels have also thick eyebrows. So when they move in bright sunlight, when it is very hot, then the thick eyebrows will provide what? Shade from the bright sun. They protect the eyes from the bright rays of the sun. So what this thick eyebrows will do? They will protect the eyes from the bright light of the sun. They have wide feet. What is this wide feet for? This wide feet help them to walk on the sand without sinking on it. Okay, they have the wide feet, they get their balance and they simply walk over the sand without sinking inside the sand. Next there is hump, which is a fatty tissue, and this is a reservoir of fat, so that camel can go without food and water for weeks. Okay, and even it can stay for months without food, because this is a layer of fatty tissue which is deposited in the hump. So from the fatty tissues only the camel will get its food and it will survive. Okay, then the camel have thick lips. These thick lips help them to feed on the different types of desert plants which are having thorns. So the thick lips that is present there will prevent any sort of cut or wounds on the camel's mouth, because the plants in the desert have what? Spines and thorns in them. So these thick lips will prevent any damage and protect them from hurting by the prickles and the thorns or the spines. And they can withstand the body temperature changes throughout the day, like from 34 degrees centigrade to 41.7 degrees centigrade they can withstand. So a camel will conserve the water. How? By not sweating. They will not sweat. They prevent sweat. Even if the temperature rises outside, then also they don't sweat. And if they will not sweat, then the water will be present inside the body. They will conserve the water. How they conserve the water? Without sweating. Because they can adjust their body with the temperature changes that is happening outside. So they will not sweat even if the temperature is very, very high outside. Okay, so all these characteristics that we have seen here, with the long eyelashes, ear hair, thick eyebrows, wide feet, hump, thick lips and all, these are all characteristics of the camel that makes it the sheep of the desert. Reptiles and birds. See, these reptiles and birds will give out the waste product. Okay, they are giving out the waste product in the form of uric acid. Okay, this is an insoluble white color compound. I think all of you have seen the excretory product of a lizard and also the birds. You can see the whitish color compound that is present. That is the uric acid, and very little water is lost in this process. Okay, wasting of water is minimized because they release what? Uric acid during giving out the waste product. So as uric acid, you can see the white color material that is present in the excretion of birds and lizards. These are uric acid, and this allows the conservation of water. There is no loss of water from the body of reptiles and the birds. Okay, now let us talk about the kangaroo rats. They live inside the burrows. Okay, kangaroo rats live inside the burrows. That is, they do what? They dig the sand and get inside the holes which are called the burrows, to protect themselves from what? From the heat, and also help them to recycle the moisture from their own breathing. When they breathe, they do what? They recycle the moisture. So they go inside the burrow, they take rest to protect themselves from the heat and also get time to recycle the moisture. During the morning and evening they are very, very active, and night also sometimes. But in the daytime they take rest to protect themselves from the heat. They do not drink water. They only get the water by digesting the dry seeds. So the kangaroo rats do not drink water. They digest the dry seeds and get their water in this process. Okay, so what are the characteristic features? Once again, let us discuss. They live in burrow. Why they live in burrow? To protect themselves from the scorching heat, and also helps in recycling the moisture. Then they are active during the morning and evening to escape from the heat. And they don't drink water, they digest the dry seeds and fulfill their water requirements. Now what about the squirrels and toads? They remain dormant during the hottest part of the summer. During the summertime, when the temperature is very very high, they take rest, they go to sleep, the squirrels and toads. So they protect themselves from the heat. Okay. Then another animal is the fennec. So fennecs have long ears so that heat can be easily dissipated outside. During the daytime, they stay inside the dens with other foxes. They are nocturnal and they move about in the night. Because in the night, what happens? The heat is very less. It is not so hot. So they move about in the night. In the daytime, they sleep inside the den. And they have long ears which can help to give out the heat. Dissipate means to give out the heat. So body becomes a little bit cooler in comparison to the surroundings. So next we will discuss about hot, tropical and temperate climate. Just now we have discussed about the deserts climate. Now we are discussing about hot, tropical and temperate climate. See, in the hot and humid climate in the tropics, you know the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, these regions are called what? Tropical regions. And in the tropical regions, this is very hot and humid because it is nearer to the equator. And the sun rays had the factor in controlling the weather conditions there. So it is quite warm in the temperate region also. The hot and humid climate in the tropics and quite warm climate in the temperate regions. So animals which are found in the tropics, they are mainly adapted for regulating the temperature, or they will adjust themselves for faster evaporation of water. And if the body gives out water at the process of evaporation, then it will leave a cooling effect on the body. So they sweat, they pant and they leak, and then it induces what? The faster evaporation. And mostly the animals are active during the early morning, evening and nights to avoid the heat as usual. Okay. So like the hot desert climates, animals mostly will be active during the mornings, evening and nights to avoid the heat. And the most important characteristic feature here is to allow faster evaporation. So the animals will sweat, they will pant, they will start leaking their bodies so that the evaporation rate is faster. That will give a cooling effect to their body. So some types of animals that we can see, these types are gorillas, monkeys, sloths, birds like macaws. This type of animals can be seen in the tropical regions. Mostly what we can see, this have long legs and tails. The animals mostly found in these tropical regions, they have what? Long legs and tails. And many animals have huge ears like elephants. And these huge ears are used as fan to protect themselves from the heat. The body will cool because this huge ears will act like what? Fan. So this will cool the body. So African elephants have huge ears. Why? Because this ears acts as fan and keep the elephant's body cool. By continuously moving, you know, you have seen the elephants flapping its ears so that the huge body gets cooler faster, because these ears acts as what? As fan. Okay. And some of the insects, their shape and the color are matching to the surroundings. Like the stick insect is brown in color and exactly looks like a stick. So it is very difficult for the predator to spot that stick insect. So to prevent any sort of damage or to protect themselves from the predators, the insects and some of the animals also, they try to match their shape and color with their habitat so that no one can spot them out. So that no one can spot them. Okay, no one can find them out. So in order to hide themselves from the predators, their color and the shape can match with their surroundings or their habitat. So there are many types of animals in the region, and the competition for the food is also high because so many animals will feed on the different objects. So the competition for the food is also high. Some animals have adapted to eat the food, some types of foods which are not eaten by the others. Like that animals like monkey will eat whatever is obtained in the branches of the tree. So this keeps them safe from the predators that live on the ground. So this way different animals have adjusted themselves with their surroundings so that they can protect themselves from the predators too. Okay. So now we will discuss about the animals who live in the extremely cold climates. So in the extremely cold regions or extremely cold climates, they have the adaptations to keep their body warm by the deposition of the fatty layers. Okay, so there are fatty layers inside the body of the animals living in the extremely cold climates. So these fatty layers keep their body warm. Then they have excessive muscular activity also, and thick and waterproof fur. So this way they protect themselves from the extremely cold climates of these regions, like the polar regions. So now let us see about the polar bears, seals, whales and walruses. How do they adjust with their surroundings? There are thick fatty layer in most of the animals living in the extremely cold climates, which is called the blubber, right? So these thick fatty layers are present under their skin, which keeps their body warm and also keeps them insulated so that heat is not released outside the body. Okay. Now the polar bear has the white fur which acts as insulator, and also this allows them to camouflage to hide itself from the prey. So it can easily hunt because it can hide itself from the prey, because it's white in color. It can hide itself in the snow. So easily it can hunt both on land and in water. This is a way of adaptation, this white fur. Okay. The female polar bear will stay in the big dens of the snow, and they go to hibernate, they go to sleep. During the cool winter months, they will go to sleep, and then cubs are born inside the den. So winter sleep is called the hibernation. So female polar bear will dig the dens inside the snow, and then they go to sleep because they remain active during the worst part of the winter, because they have to survive, and this body fats will allow them to survive without food and water during the cold seasons. They are very, very fat, as you have seen the polar bear. So they'll go inside and live inside there inactively sleeping. That type of sleep is called what? Hibernation. Winter sleep is called what? Hibernation. So they will sleep there, and the energy that is required by the body will be supplied by the fatty deposits that is present in the body, right? And here only in the dens they will give birth to the cubs. Okay, so this way, like the fatty layers and then the white fur and then the sleeping mechanism of the female polar bear allows them to live nicely, adjust nicely in the extremely cold climates of the polar regions. Next we can talk about the penguins. They group together, they join together, they huddle together to stay warm and then also fight with their enemies. So you can see, whenever you can see the penguins, you can see they are in a group and cuddle together. So this is to prevent themselves from the cold and also to protect themselves from the enemies. Now the male penguins will try to protect the eggs from the cold environment, because in cold temperatures the eggs are destroyed, and the female penguins will go to the sea and find out their food. So males protect the eggs and females go and find out their food. Okay. Next is Arctic fox and Canadian lynx and Arctic hare. These all animals they are much larger in comparison to same type of animals that are in the warmer region. Arctic fox, Canadian lynx and hare, they are much larger in comparison. So they have large furry paws, their ears are also very large and furry. Okay, and these furry paws, what they will do, help them to walk in the snow, and ears keep the cold out. Okay, these are very very furry animals with large body size, and this paws that is present in the limbs help them to walk in the snow. They are all covered with fur to keep their body warm, to help them walk in the snow and also keep the cold out. Next, Arctic birds like ptarmigans, then snow geese, Arctic terns. They have feathers up to their body to keep their body warm. Okay, if you can see the picture of ptarmigan, you can see the feathers are present up to their feet. They stay in the Arctic all the year, and some birds like the geese and the winter Arctic terns, they migrate to different places in the warmer regions so that they get the comfortable place to live in there, and then again come back when the weather here is little comfortable. So this way some birds move from one place to another. This process is called what? Migration. This is a mass movement that together the birds or some of the fishes also, they migrate from one place to another, and certain animals also migrate. But this is a mass movement that is seen in the birds that move from one place to another in unfavorable condition. Wherever they are residing in their own native place, if the temperature is quite below normal and they cannot withstand those uncomfortable situation of their native place where they were living, they will migrate, they will move on to another place to get that temperature which is suitable, which they are accepting, that means which they like, the temperature, the situation which they like, which their body can adjust. So they will go to that place, right? So they will go to that place where there is favorable situation. Again they will come back to their native place where they were living when there is favorable condition again. So during winter season, when it is very very cold in the polar regions, they will migrate to the warmer regions, and again they will return only after the summer begins to settle in. So this way they migrate, they go, and then again they come back. So what is this migration? This is the mass movement of the animals and the birds from one place to another. In response to what? In response to the seasonal change. So why do they migrate? To avoid unfavorable climatic conditions. Whenever there is unfavorable situation, they cannot withstand that, they go to another place away from their native place and stay there. They get the comfortable region there, they stay there, they get their food there, and again they come back when the situation becomes normal, when there are favorable condition again in the native place. So they will come back again. So this is called what? Migration. Some animals and birds, they also migrate to other places for breeding, that means to reproduce. To produce their young ones, some animals and birds will have to migrate to another places. These are all the ways by which the animals are adapted so that they can live, they can survive. Every one of us has to adapt. Okay, every one of us will have to adapt ourselves with the surroundings to survive. The one who can adapt will survive. The one who cannot adapt with the surroundings will not survive. The nature will select those who can easily adapt themselves to their surroundings, and the nature will remove those who cannot adjust, those who cannot adapt themselves with the change in the nature. So students, the chapter Climate and Adaptation is completed today, and in the next lecture I will be discussing with you the exercises that is related to this chapter. So you will correlate this video with the chapter and just revise the chapter once, so that in the next class we can easily do the question answers that is given in the exercises.